Good day everyone. Today we are going to discuss about operations on rational numbers, specifically the fractions. So bago tayo mag-proceed sa operations of fractions natin, balikan lang muna natin yung similar fractions and dissimilar fractions. Pag sinabi nating similar fractions, these are the fractions having the same denominator, A over B and C over B. So, kung mapapansin natin, yung numbers natin na nasa baba, magkaparehas siya. So, pag magkaparehas, similar fractions siya. So, for example, I have here 1/9, 7/9. So, parehas ng denominator na 9. 3 and 3/10, 4 and 5/10. So, parehas din ang denominator na 10, kaya similar fractions. While the dissimilar fractions are fractions having different denominator. So, A over B and C over D. So, kung mapapansin natin, magkaiba yung numbers natin sa baba. So, for example, 2/3 and 5/7. So, ang denominator natin ay 3 at saka 7. So, magkaiba. That means dissimilar fractions siya. And then, 2 and 4/9, 1 and 2/3. So, 9 and 3, magkaiba din. So, that means dissimilar fractions. So, let's have now the addition of similar fractions. Madali lang mag-add ng fractions kapag similar sila. So, ibig sabihin, kapag parehas ang denominator, madali lang. Bakit? We just simply add the numerators and then copy the denominator. And then whatever the sum is, we have to express it in simplest form. So, kapag may common factor yung ating numerator tsaka denominator, kailangan natin i-divide sila by their common factor para makuha natin yung simplest form. So, we just have A over B plus C over B. So, we just simply add the numerators. So, that's A plus C and then copy the denominator, which is B. Okay? So, for example, 1/9 plus 7/9. So, similar fractions kasi parehas ng denominator. So, yung numerator natin, i-add lang natin. So, that's 1 plus 7 all over. Then, copy lang natin kung ano yung denominator, which is 9. So, 1 plus 7 is 8 over 9. So, since wala naman ng common factor si 8 at saka si 9, so that means that is our sum. Another example is 4/7 plus 6/7. So, similar fractions, we just simply add the numerators. 4 plus 6 all over, copy the denominator, which is 7. So, that means 10 over 7. Now, there are instances na hindi tinatanggap ang improper fractions as an answer. So, you have to change it into mixed number. So, ibig sabihin, we just simply divide 10 by 7 and then whatever the remainder is, yun yung magiging numerator natin. And then, copy the denominator. So, 10 over 7, meron tayong isang 7. And then, ang remainder natin ay 3. So, that means that's the numerator over 7. So, we have the answer as 1 and 3/7. Another example is 3 and 3/10 plus 4 and 5/10. So, in this case, kung mapapansin mo, mixed fraction siya. Pero, similar pa rin naman yung ating fractions. So, in that case, we just simply add the whole numbers. So, 3 plus 4 and then yung numerators natin, then we copy the denominator. So that means we have 7 and 8 over 10. Now, yung 8 over 10 natin, meron pa siyang lowest form. So, ang common factor ng 8/10 ay 2. So, we just simply divide 8 by 2, 10 by 2. So, we have now 7 and 4/5. Last example we have is 2 and 5/6 plus 4 and 5/6. So, same procedure, we just simply add the whole numbers and then the numerators and then copy the denominator. So, we have 2 plus 4 and 5 plus 5 all over 6. So, 2 plus 4 is 6, 5 plus 5 is 10, copy the denominator 6. So, yung 10 over 6 natin ay improper fraction. So, that means magkakaroon tayo ng whole number na 1. So, idadagdag natin siya dun sa whole number na 6, kaya magiging 7. And then, ang remainder natin ay 4, and then, ang denominator natin ay 6. Pero yung 4 over 6 kasi natin, meron pa siyang lowest form. So, magiging 7 and 2/3. So, that will be our sum. Okay, next is the subtraction of similar fractions. So how do we subtract similar fractions? So we just simply subtract the numerators and then copy the denominator. Of course, you have to express your answer in simplest form. So we have A over B minus C over B. So i-minus lang natin yung numerator. So A minus C, and then copy natin yung denominator, which is B. Okay, so let's have an example para mas maintindihan ninyo. So, 7/9 minus 2/9. So, similar fractions, yung numerator natin, subtract lang natin. 7 minus 2. And then, yung denominator na 9, copy lang natin. So, 7 minus 2 is 5 over 9. So, wala naman ng common factor ang 5 and 9. So, that means, that's the difference now. Next is 5/6 minus 1/6. So, same procedure, we just simply subtract the numerators, 5 minus 1, and then copy the denominator, which is 6. So, we have 4 over 6. Then, ang 4 over 6 natin ay meron pang lowest form. So, that is equal to 2/3. So, that means that is our difference. Next is 4 and 7/8 minus 2 and 3/8. So, in that case, mixed fraction, we just simply subtract the whole numbers and then subtract the numerators and then copy the denominator. So, yung whole numbers natin, ma-minus lang natin. So, that's 4 and 2. So, 4 minus 2. Yung numerators natin ay 7 and 3. So, that is 7 minus 3. And then, ang denominator natin ay 8. So, we just simply copy the 8. So, 4 minus 2 is 2. 7 minus 3 is 4. And then, copy the denominator 8. So, yung 4 over 8 natin, meron pa siyang lowest form. So, that is 2 and 1/2. So, that's the difference now. Next is 8 and 3/7 minus 3 and 5/7. So, same procedure. We just simply subtract. Oh, by the way, kapag kasi sinubtract kasi natin yung ating yung numerator natin, 3 minus 5, so hindi siya pwede. Dapat laging mas malaki yung first number. So, in that case, yung ating 8, babawasan natin ng isang whole number. So, magiging 7 na lang siya. And then, yung binawas natin ay may katumbas na 7 kasi 7 yung denominator niya. So, idadagdag natin yun sa numerator na 3, kaya naging 10. So, yung 8 and 3 over 7, naging 7 and 10 over 7. And then, saka na natin siya isusubtract by 3 and 5 over 7. So, we have 7 minus 3, then 10 minus 5 all over 7. So, 7 minus 3 is 4, 10 minus 5 is 5, all over 7. So, we have the difference of 4 and 5 over 7. Now, I want you to try this. You perform the operation of the following. Of course, express your answer in lowest form. So, I want you to get the sum and then get the difference. And then, of course, kapag nakuha mo na siya, kailangan naka-lowest term yung mga sagot natin. Okay? I-post mo muna yung video na to and then kapag may sagot ka na, i-continue mo na lang ulit para makita mo kung tama o mali yung sagot mo. Okay, let's have the answer. I guess meron ka ng sagot sa ating questions kanina. So, I hope nakakuha ka ng perfect 10. So, in case na hindi ka nakakuha ng perfect 10, balikan mo na lang yung video natin kanina para makita mo kung saan banda ka nagkamali. Okay? Now, let's have the addition of dissimilar fractions. Paano naman pag magkaiba yung fractions natin? Okay? I mean, magkaiba yung denominator. So, how are we going to do that? So, change the dissimilar fractions to similar fractions. So, papalitan natin yung dissimilar ng similar. How are we going to do that? Okay. So, find the least common denominator of the two fractions. Using the LCD, change is each fraction to its equivalent fractions. So, take note, least common denominator is also known as the least common multiple of the denominator. So, bago tayo mag-change ng dissimilar to similar fractions, magbalik-aral muna tayo regarding multiples. So, pag sinabi nating multiple, it is the result of multiplying a number by an integer. Sa madalit sabi, pag sinabi nating multiple, ito yung skip counting. So, di ba nung grade 1, 2, 3 tayo, nag-skip counting tayo. So, 4, 5, 6, I guess hindi na skip counting by 5, skip counting by 2, ang tawag doon. It's a multiples of 2, it's a multiples of 5. So, for example, multiple of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36, and so on. Kasi that's 3 times 1, 3 times 2, 3 times 3, 3 times 4, 3 times 5. So, yun yung multiples of 3. Multiples of 4 is 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, and so on. So, that means 4 times 1, 4 times 2, 4 times 3, 4 times 4, and so on. Okay? Next, pag sinabi naman natin common multiples, these are the numbers that can be found on both list of the multiples. So, for example, yung common multiples ng 3 and 4 are 12, 24, 36, and so on. So, kung ano yung magkaparehas kay 3 and 4, yun yung common multiples natin. And then, yung least common multiple naman natin is the smallest common multiple of two given numbers. So, kung ano yung pinakamaliit na magkaparehas sa kanilang dalawa, yun yung tinatawag natin na LCM. So, for example, the LCM of 3 and 4 is 12. Okay? So, let's have answer this. Give the LCM of the following pairs of integers. 4 and 5. Okay, LCM is 20. 5 and 2. Okay, the LCM is 10. 3 and 7. The LCM is 21. 4 and 6. Okay, the LCM is 12. 8 and 12. Okay, the LCM is 24. Most of the time, minumultiply lang natin yung dalawang numbers para makuha natin yung LCM. Pero kapag kasi yung dalawang given numbers natin ay merong common factor, so hindi advisable na i-multiply mo yung dalawa para makuha mo yung LCM. So you just do the multiples of, let's say, multiples of 4 and 6. So multiples of 4, you list down 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and so on. Multiples of 6, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, and so on. So yung pinakamaliit dun. So that's the LCM. Okay? Okay, now, let's continue changing dissimilar fractions to similar fractions, okay? So, we have 2/3 and 1/4. How do we do that? So, yung ating denominators ay 3 and 4. So, that means ang LCM nila ay 12. So, magiging 12 yung denominator natin, okay? And then, 12, divide natin siya by 3. So, that's 4 times 2. Kaya, naging 8 yung numerator natin. Same thing with the other fraction. So, 12 divided by 4 is 3 times 1, that is 3. Kaya, yung dissimilar natin na 2/3 and 1/4, naging 8 over 12 and 3 over 12. So, parehas na siya ng denominator. Another, 4/5 and 1/2. So, ang denominator natin ay 5 and 2. So, ang LCM nila is 10. So, magiging 10 divided by 5 is 2 times 4 is 8. And then the other one is 10 divided by 2 is 5 times 1. So 5. Kaya naging 8 over 10 and 5 over 10. Okay? Now, continue na natin yung addition of dissimilar fractions natin. So once we change the dissimilar fraction into similar fractions, we can proceed now to the addition of similar fractions. Then express, of course, your answer in simplest form. So, A over B plus C over D is equal to AD all over BD plus CB all over BD. Okay? So take note that when adding mixed fraction, change first the mixed fractions into improper fractions, then proceed to the addition of dissimilar fractions. Hindi siya katulad kanina sa similar fractions na pwede na nating i-add yung whole numbers sa whole numbers, then numerator to numerator. Now, sa dissimilar fractions, kailangan kasi i-change muna natin yung mixed fractions into improper para hindi kayo medyo malito. Okay? Okay, so let's have an example. So we have 2/3 plus 1/4. So sabi natin, kailangan muna natin i-change into similar fractions bago tayo mag-proceed sa addition ng dissimilar fractions. So ang denominator natin ay 3 and 4, so that means the LCM is 12. So yung 2/3 magiging 8/12, and then yung 1/4 magiging 3/12. And then proceed na tayo sa ating addition. So we just simply add the numerators. 8 plus 3 is 11, and then copy the denominator, which is 12. So kung wala naman ng lowest term yung ating sagot ngayon, ibig sabihin siya na yung final answer natin. Another example is 7/8 plus 5/12. So, ang ating denominators ay 8 at saka 12. So, ang LCM nila ay 24. So, yung 7/8 magiging 21/24. And then yung 5/12 magiging 10/24. And then, add na natin yung numerators, which is 21 plus 10 is 31. Then, copy the denominator, which is 24. So, ang sagot natin is 31/24. So, improper fraction siya. So, that means we have to change it first into mixed number or mixed fraction. So, yung 31/24 magiging 1 and 7/24. So, that is now our sum. The next example we have is 1 and 2/5 plus 2 and 1/3. So, bago tayong mag-change into similar fractions, palitan muna natin itong mixed fractions into improper fractions. So, yung 1 and 2/5 magiging 7/5, and then yung 2 and 1/3 magiging 7/3. And then, ang denominator natin ay 5 and 3, so that means ang LCM natin ay 15. So, yung 7/5 magiging 21/15, and then yung 7/3 magiging 35/15. So, add na natin yung ating numerators. 21 plus 35 is 56, then copy the denominator, which is 15. So, i-change natin into mixed fraction, so that is equal to 3 and 11/15. So, that means, yan na yung ating sagot. Now, sa subtraction of dissimilar fractions, ganun pa rin, we have to change first the dissimilar fractions to similar fractions. And then, proceed na tayo sa subtractions of similar fractions. And then, express your answer in simplest form. So, that means A over B minus C over D, that is equal to AD over BD minus CB over BD. So, take note, when subtracting mixed fractions, change first the mixed fractions into improper fractions. Then, proceed to the subtraction of dissimilar fractions. So, kaparehas lang din siya ng addition of dissimilar. Ang pinakaiba lang talaga, kanina nag-a-add ka, ngayon magsusubtract ka. So, for example, 2/3 minus 3/7. So, ang denominator natin ay 3 and 7. So, ang LCM nila ay 21. So, ang 2/3 magiging 14/21. Ang 3/7 magiging 9/21. So, we just simply subtract the numerators. 14 minus 9 is 5. Then, copy the denominator, which is 21. So, magiging 5/21. So, wala na tayong lowest term nun. So, that means, yun yung sagot natin. Okay? Next, 5, 6 minus 3/4. So, 6 and 4 ang ating denominator. Ang LCM niya is 12. So, yung 5, 6 magiging 10/12. And then, yung 3/4 magiging 9/12. And then, yun na. Subtract na natin yung numerators natin. 10 minus 9 is 1. And then, copy the denominator, which is 12. So, we have the answer as 1/12. Next is 3 and 7/8 minus 1 and 1/2. So, mixed fraction, change muna natin into improper. So, yung 3 and 7/8 magiging 31 over 8. And then yung 1 and 1/2 magiging 3 halves. So 8 and 2 yung denominator, ang LCM natin is 8. And then yung 31 over 8, simply magiging 31 over 8 pa rin. Pero yung 3 halves natin magiging 12 over 8. And then 31 minus 12 magiging 31 minus 12 ay magiging 19 over 8. So 19 over 8 magiging 3 and 2 and 3 over 8. So let us try this. Perform the operations of the following and then of course express your answer in lowest form. So you just simply get the addition of the dissimilar fractions and subtraction of dissimilar fractions. So i-post mo muna yung video na to, then pag may sagot ka na, balikan mo na ulit para ma-check mo kung tama yung sagot mo. Okay? Okay, let's have the answers. I guess may sagot na kayo. So, kung sakali man po na mali ang sagot, pwede mong balikan yung video natin para ma-check mo kung saan banda ka nagkamali. Okay? I hope na nakakuha ka ng perfect 10. Okay, now let's move on to the multiplication of fractions. So when we are multiplying fractions, so we just simply multiply the numerators to get the numerator of the product. And then multiply the denominators to get the denominator of the product. And of course, express the product in lowest form. So we have A over B times C over D. So we just simply A times C all over B times D. Now, to multiply with mixed fractions, change first the mixed fractions to an improper fractions, then proceed to the multiplication of fractions. So, ganun din, kapag mixed fractions, kailangan mo muna siyang i-change into improper bago ka mag-multiply ng fractions. Okay, so let's have an example. 2/3 multiplied by 1/5. So, sabi natin, pag nag-multiply ng fractions, so numerator times numerator all over denominator times denominator. So, that will become 2 times 1 all over 3 times 5. So, that means 2 times 1 is equal to 2 and 3 times 5 is equal to 15. So, kung may lowest term pa yung ating product, ibig sabihin, kailangan mo kunin yung lowest term. Pero kung wala na, that means yun na yung sagot natin. Another example, we have 3/4 multiplied by 5 over 6. So, we have 3 times 5 all over 4 times 6. So, 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 6 is 24. So, we have the product of 15 over 24. Pero dahil may lowest term pa siya, so we have to get the lowest term, that is 5 over 8. So, that means our product is 5 over 8. Next is 3 and 1/2 times 4 and 1/3. So, mixed fraction, change muna natin into improper. So, that means 3 and 1/2 magiging 7 over 2. Yung 4 and 1/3 magiging 13 over 3. And then, after nun, multiply na natin yung ating numerator by numerator and then denominator by denominator. So, 7 times 13 all over 2 times 3. So, 7 times 13 is 91. 2 times 3 is 6. So, that means 91 over 6. And then, improper fraction siya. So, we have to change it first into mixed numbers. So, yung 91 over 6 magiging 15 and 1/6. Okay? So, I want you to try this. Multiply the following fractions. Of course, express your answer in lowest form. So, post mo muna ulit yung video and then pag may sagot ka na, i-continue mo na ulit at then i-check mo para malaman mo kung naiintindihan mo ba yung multiplication of fractions. Okay, let's have the answers. So, I hope na nakukuha ka ng perfect 5. Pero in case na hindi mo man nakuha yung perfect 5, balikan mo yung video para makita mo kung saan banda ka nagkamali. Okay? The next or the last operation that we have is the division of fractions. So, meron tayong tatlong steps lang na susundin, which is the KCR. Ano ibig sabihin ng KCR natin? So, we have to keep the fractions. We're going to change the operation to multiplication, and then we're going to get the reciprocal. Pag sinabi natin reciprocal, ibig sabihin, yung numerator natin gagawin natin denominator. And then yung denominator natin gagawin natin numerator. So, after natin magawa yan, then proceed na to the multiplication of fractions. So, we have A over B divided by C over D. So, sabi natin, KCR, we keep the first fraction, which is A over B. And then, yung division, gagawin natin multiplication. And then, yung second fraction, kukunin natin yung reciprocal, yung C over D. Babalik rin natin, yung denominator magiging numerator, yung numerator magiging denominator. So, that's D over C. Okay, so let's have an example. We have 3/4 divided by 1/5. So sabi natin, let us use the KCR, which means keep the fraction, change the operation into multiplication, and then get the reciprocal. So ibig sabihin, yung 3/4 natin, magiging 3/4 pa rin. Yung division, magiging multiplication. Yung 1/5, ang reciprocal niya, magiging 5 over 1. So multiply na natin, numerator by numerator, denominator by denominator. So 3 times 5 is equal to 15 over 4 times 1 is equal to 4. So, ang quotient natin is 15 over 4. Pero naka-improper fraction pa siya, so we have to change this into mixed fraction. So, 15 over 4 will become 3 and 3/4. So, ibig sabihin, yun na yung sagot natin. Next example, we have 3 over 20 divided by 2 over 5. So, KCR natin. So, yung 3 over 20, magiging 3 over 20 pa din. Yung division, magiging multiplication. Yung 2 over 5, reciprocal, magiging 5 over 2. And then, proceed na tayo sa multiplications. 3 times 5 is equal to 15. Over 20 times 2 is equal to 40. So, ang quotient natin is 15 over 20. So, we have to get the lowest term. So, that is equal to 3 over 8. Next, we have 2 and 1/5 divided by 1 and 1/3. So, naka-mix fraction. So, bago tayo mag-KCR, kailangan muna natin i-change into improper fractions. So, yung 2 and 1/5 magiging 11 over 5. Yung 1 and 1/3 magiging 4/3. And then after nun, KCR na tayo, yung 11 over 5 magiging 11 over 5 pa rin. Yung division magiging multiplication. And then yung 4/3 magiging 3/4. And then proceed na tayo sa multiplications natin. So 11 times 3 is 33 over 5 times 4 is 20. So ang quotient natin is 33 over 20. Pero improper siya, so we still have to change this into mixed fraction. So, yung 33 over 20 magiging 1 and 13 over 20. So, that means yun na yung ating final answer. Okay, so I want you to try this. Divide the following fractions and then express your answer in lowest form. I-post mo muna ulit tong video na to and then kapag may sagot ka na, pwede mo na ulit i-continue. Okay, let's have now the answers. I guess may sagot ka na po. So, sana nakakuha ka ng perfect 5. So, in case na hindi ka nakakuha ng perfect 5, pwede mo na mabalikan ulit yung video para ma-check mo kung saan ka nagkamali at maitama mo yung process na nagkamali ka. Okay? That's all for today. Thank you for listening. Hope you understand our lesson. Bye!